You're live.
We're live. We're live with Thomasina Levy. We're literally a coast-to-coast thing today. I'm in California, DJ Hamouris here. And Thomasina Levy is in Litchfield, Connecticut?
Litchfield, Connecticut, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Quite a
lunchtime
history.
for me and breakfast for you.
Yeah, I just finished my breakfast, but I've got my last cup of coffee here. So it's really great to be able to talk with you and have some conversation. I think of these as what I miss by not being at all the in-person festivals and sitting around lunch and just getting to know each other or asking that question you always wanted to ask that person. And so it's really fun for me. And I'm appreciative that you were willing to step on so quickly. Thanks.
I'm happy to be asked. Even the online festivals are just, there's no, except that yours were actually felt more festival-like. We had lunch together and then some downtime and all that, but it's still not sitting around the table and in the campfire at night and, talking about what we're doing and our dreams and hopes and our families and everything. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Getting to know people at a different level. It's really, really sweet. And that was important to me. So Thomasina did the Berkeley Dulcimer gathering was that just this in 22? Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
2022.
Yeah. And also the baritone Dulcimer Day with
and
me.
And the four-string one that Erin Mae and Steve did. And also Quarantune. But I'm not doing Quarantune in June. It's just it's very busy right now. I just couldn't squeeze that in for the weekend.
So tell me why it's very busy right now.
I am going to England,
right,
to Halsey Manor to the Non-Such Dulcimer Club, and
so
the day
exciting.
the day that I come back, I'm going straight to Cape Cod because my sister's going to be there. And then I could have come back to my house here in time, but my son's going to be here in this space, and there's no way I can teach up here with him sleeping in the background. It just felt like I could have kicked him out. It just felt like too much. So
yeah.
I took a break. Although I love Quarantune. I was so excited when they hired me. Didn't you love it? Don't you love it?
Because I was in the process of taking the Berkeley Dulcimer Gathering online, which was the first festival that went online in 2020. I totally missed Jess's email inviting me to teach at the first Quarantune. And I'm like, then, because it was in May, and then the first Quarantune was in June. So I attended that one. I've been at all of them, but I've only taught since the second one. And it is great. But I also had the opportunity, because I teach through the Freight and Salvage in Berkeley, all of us went online in March 2020. So I had already been teaching online by the time I started teaching with Quarantune. Yeah. So, but it's been wonderful, and hasn't it done amazing things for our collegiality with each other?
Yeah, I mean, I never would have met you. Or Erin Mae. I met Erin Mae. Actually, Erin Mae, I met you when you were a young, maybe 18 years old. Do you remember meeting me at all? It was in North Carolina. Maddie McNeil was there. I met Aaron O'Rourke, and you had just won, I think, Kansas, right? You had just won one of those contests.
It was
Do you remember that?
Probably the first time I ever went to Western Carolina University on a youth scholarship. And my whole family was there. And my family stopped along the way and picked up all the other kids that were between Kansas and North Carolina. And we just all hopped in our big old van, and it was a grand adventure.
Yeah, Maddie McNeil. Maddie was there, and Lois ran it. Aaron O'Rourke was 18 years old, and I was teaching and performing there. And you were just like this little young. I just won some kind of one of the contests. I remember you saying, and I think, wow, she's just a little baby. Look look at how well you've done for yourself. You've become this star in the dulcimer world that really creates community. The both of you have done such a great job of creating community, really.
These are the two things that we really bond over. Yeah. Online music, dulcimer education, and community building. Right?
Yes. That's the goal.
That's the goal. That's right. Yeah. So yeah. So we wouldn't have met, that's for sure. And I hope we do meet in person. But in the meantime, here we are. How the heck did you end up with a mountain dulcimer?
That's a good question. So when I was 18, so I just graduated from high school, Kenmore West High School in the Buffalo, New York area. Go Buffalo Bills. My girlfriend's sister was living in West Virginia, and she was a social worker in the mountains. And so the first time I flew on a plane, she and I went down south, and I hung out with her and her sister, and we went to this little fair, and there was a dulcimer there, and I had never seen one before. And the guy taught me how to play, and I played piano before that. I took piano lessons and violin, so I knew music, and I learned Go Tell Aunt Rhody was the first. He said so that was the first experience I had with dulcimer. And then when I was 20, a friend of mine was living at my house with my parents, and she bought me a Bruno dulcimer as a gift. I don't have it anymore. I gave it to my granddaughter, and it was not a very good dulcimer, no 6.5 fret. And I found a Lorraine Lee book, and it was a Lorraine Lee book and Jean Ritchie book at this obscure bookshop, and I taught myself how to play dulcimer with all these, obscure little tunings, and I just fell in love with the instrument. So, I played the piano, I played guitar at Girl Scout camp with the chords, but the dulcimer I just always loved. And then we moved to Connecticut, and to Torrington, Connecticut, which bordered Winsted, Connecticut, where Folkcraft Instruments was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so I had my first baby, and I stopped working as a special ed teacher. And on Thursday nights, I went to Winsted to take lessons with Dallas Klein.
Oh, wonderful.
And George Haggerty was in my class.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. And who else was? I think those are the only two people that are really kind of visible in the community at this point. And we became all close friends, and Dallas was my mentor, and I took lessons with her and started arranging my own music. And then she kind of nudged me. My first gig was with her and her boyfriend and this woman named Jackie and me. And it was a $50 gig, and we each got $12.50. I think I bought a CD or
you're professional.
A cassette. I think I bought a cassette. I mean, there was cassettes way back then. And and then Tom and Jerry White ran Wismac Instruments in the Hudson Valley, which is really close to where I live here in Litchfield, Connecticut. And they had this $50 special, make your own demo tape, or maybe it was $100. I think it was $50. And so I said, no, what the heck, for $50, I can afford that, barely. And I went and I played some songs, and they liked my music so much that they offered me a little recording contract to make a children's CD, a children's cassette.
Recording.
Yeah, a recording cassette. And then I made another recording with them, A Peaceful Storm. And then it just kind of, my career just kind of grew. As my kids got older, my career grew. So Dallas was a big, big influence. She's been gone for about 5 years now. And she was just this amazing, loving, kind woman who, there was like no ego with her, and she just... And I learned a lot of how to arrange from her. Like, she puts the slashes. Do you put slashes on your tablature where there's like a rest, or like if there's a half note?
I know they do that a lot in jazz charts. I've seen, especially if you're just comping, it's like,
Right.
what's the
So
beat of it?
you'll see that my tablature always has that, because she was very proud of the fact that you could read the tablature without knowing how to read music, because she, you know, accommodated those extra beats that are not necessarily seen in regular tab. And so that's part of my tablature as well, and all the way that she arranged things. Yeah, and then Rob Brereton worked at Folkcraft in Kent. He used to sell dulcimers for them, and I think he helped build them. And we became best buddies. We still are best buddies. You know, I saw him at Cape Cod last weekend, so with his cousin, and he's been, you know, we ride around in my car or his car singing songs and laughing hysterically and try to perform together as much as we can. And he's my guy that I go to when I have musical questions, because he's got a degree in music and all that. I understand music, I can read music, but I don't have a degree in it. But, you know, the dulcimer has really forced me to really understand music, especially the modes, right? And understanding modes is so easy on the dulcimer. It really is.
Well, it started out as a modal instrument, no matter how you tune. I know so I got my first folk roots instrument in 1979. Nice. This is when it was it was the original company with Jacqueline Ruggs in the Santa Cruz Mountains. So at that time, what I was taught was from books. Mine were Joellen Lapidus's book, Lapidus on Dulcimer, which is very thick for a first dulcimer book, and had a chord encyclopedia at the back where you had to figure it out for yourself. Really, really interesting. And but we talked about modes. If you tune DAD, it was called Mixolydian.
Right, the Mixolydian mode. DAA, Ionian, right?
Ionian is DAA, and DAC was Aeolian.
Right, and DAG was Dorian.
Oh, okay. See, I never encountered that one. But what I loved about her book was that she moved from one tuning to another with no, you know, I didn't come into it with a group of people and they all tuned DAD. I tuned how she told me to tune in the book, and learned what to call it. And most of us learned on our own.
Right. I learned on my own.
Yeah.
And there were no capos back then.
Right.
Although I remember somebody, if you got a stick and a rubber band, you could
a chopstick.
And then, you know, wind it around the bottom and make sure it was tight enough. But
yeah.
Every time you wanted to do a minor tune or whatever, you had to retune. There was just
right.
DAA, DAD, DAC, DAG. Yeah, Mixolydian, Aeolian, Ionian, and what was the other?
Dorian, you were saying?
Aeolian. Yeah, so Dorian.
So that's DGD is
I'm pretty
Dorian?
Sure. I haven't tuned to that in so long, but I'm pretty sure that's Dorian.
You know, I just tuned to that for something yesterday. Oh, it was a Don Petty tune. He was teaching a crooked tune, and I was listening. I'm going, what? And yeah, it was DGD, and it has a very unique sound. It's really lovely. So I'm going to do more of that.
You got to have a really thick string to tune it down that low, you know. I just saw a really great I just stumbled across this really wonderful YouTube video. This woman in England was doing a case of you. So I've just tuned my dulcimer to it's all what is it? Bagpipe tuning, where it's
DDD or
whatever. So I'm gonna try to learn that, because I love that song, you know.
Oh yeah, that's beautiful. Well, that's so that's how you got into it, and these are some of your companions along the way. I know you play baritone. Tell me why you started playing baritone.
I must have been at one of the festivals. I mean, I'm an alto going into tenor range. And all these songs I just couldn't sing in D, a lot of them. And I would tune it down to CGC, but still, then I would tune it down to B, and the strings just got so sloppy and so I was at a festival because I didn't know anything about baritone, and I don't remember who it was. They must have had a Blue Lion baritone. Actually, I had a Jerry Rockwell baritone, but I ended up selling that. It was too big for me, and I just couldn't really reach. It was hurting my wrist. And then I love my Blue Lion baritone. I love it. It's easy it's just easy to play. It's very rich. It's a little longer and a lot deeper than a standard dulcimer. Because I know that like the Folkcraft makes a baritone that's exact same size as a standard dulcimer. They just change the strings and I guess something else. So yeah. I like the fact that mine is deeper, a deeper, richer tone. So yeah. And then I could tune it to B flat, and A. G seems a little sloppy for me. I'm not big on G, but that's all right. Because when I started capoing the standard dulcimer to like the 4th fret to get the key of A, it just didn't sound really good above the 7th fret to me. It just sounded thin, and I didn't like the tone. So I said, oh, well, I guess I'll get myself a baritone. So, yeah. So now I'm going to England. I can only bring one dulcimer, and I'm not going to bring my baritone. Maybe somebody might have one I can borrow there, but we'll see.
Yeah. So you're also a songwriter.
Yeah. I am a songwriter. I kind of surprised myself. I started writing songs when my kids were little. And one of the first songs that I wrote is the truck song. Because my little boy, Benjamin, who's now 37 soon, was in the back seat saying, "Sing me a truck song, Mommy." And I didn't know a truck song. So I wrote one. And it's got driving down the highway, moving along, wheels go turning round. Big trucks, small cars, motorcycles too. Each sings a little song. And the reason I'm mentioning this is I wrote it for my son. And now I have a grandson, his son, and he's 2 years old, and he sings the truck song. And I'm going to school next week to sing the truck song with him, his class, and my granddaughter's class. So that's how I started writing songs. Or let's pretend I remember he was out in a playground going, "Let's pretend," to his friend. And I said, and that song came to me. So I guess that's why I got the children's album contract, because I started writing children's songs for my kids. And then when I started playing with Dallas, songs just started coming to me. I'm not a very prolific songwriter, but I'm really good at leading workshops at schools with children, helping them to write songs in the classroom. It's fun. It's just fun. It's really kind of, kids are so easy. Let's write a song. Okay. I'm not Beyonce. I can't write a song, and
Right. Most of us aren't Beyonce. And we can all write songs.
And we can all write songs, honestly. It's not that difficult. You just have to kind of fail a little bit. Like Steve Eulberg says, not all of your songs are going to be great songs, but until you start writing them, you're not going to have a good one, right?
Yep. So is this part of what led you to become the state troubadour, the songwriting?
Yeah, I became very involved with the Connecticut Commission on the Arts, which is now called the Connecticut Office of the Arts. It's no longer a commission. But anyways, I started going into classrooms, writing songs and poetry with kids, and always around a curricular topic. And there's the troubadour position, and I applied to it. And then one of the things that you have to do is to write a song about Connecticut. And so I wrote a song about Harriet Beecher Stowe, who was born in Litchfield, Connecticut in 1811. And that just they accepted my application, and I became the troubadour for 2 years, and it was so much fun. I worked in schools constantly, and I had some amazing gigs, and I performed for the governor, and it was fun. It was really fun, and it gave me the confidence that somebody else thought I was good enough. Don't think I'm very good, honestly. I feel like I'm pretending a lot. Like, all right, I can do it. But it's nice to be approved, I guess, and a stamp of approval. It says, well, maybe I'm better than I think I am.
I always look forward to your performances, Thomasina.
Oh, that's sweet.
I love your voices. You always do something lovely and inventive and thoughtful. And I always appreciate it, even if it's just a 10-minute thing on quarantine. I just, it's because I don't get to see you in person much. It means a lot to me that I can catch 10 minutes of Thomasina in performance here and there throughout the year.
Well, let me just say to you that my son has been in California all winter, and I think he plans on doing it next winter, San Francisco. And the plan is to visit him, and we are going to spend some time together.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm really excited about that.
Definitely. Yeah. Definitely. Melanie and Mac Johnson are here this week.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So we got together for lunch the other day, and I'm like, you're here for a week. Can't we get together again? Because we could hardly let go of each other for a week.
Well, I think I'm going to be there for more than a week. I mean,
oh, that'll be fantastic.
Yeah, we'll see.
It'll be fantastic.
Yeah. As long as he stays with this girl, which is really lovely. I like her, and we'll see what happens. But
yeah,
it'll be fun to actually spend some live face-to-face time instead of these little rectangles.
That's right. That's right. So a lot of us are now going to more events in person. Both Erin Mae and I will be in Colorado next week. And by the way, we're going to do a live Dulcimoon Talk from Erin Mae's hotel room next week, next Thursday. Stay tuned. And that in-person thing it's still a little fraught, right? I mean, we're still a little concerned, but we're also doing them. Do you have any in-person things planned as far as dulcimer events this year?
Well, Halsey Manor.
Halsey, yeah.
And then the North Georgia Festival hired me, but they're staying online.
Are they? Okay.
Yeah. So I'm a little disappointed for them and for the community. I know that I'm not doing Nancy Barker's, but I'm so glad that she's finally going online again. The Kentucky Music Week.
Oh, she's not doing.
I'm not going there, but I'm really glad that they're going live. I'm very excited that they're
going live. Okay. Yeah.
It might have been live last year too. I just haven't.
They were. They were.
How about you? So you're going to Colorado?
We're going to Colorado, and also I'm having a Berkeley Dulcimer reunion in person for the locals, for us to get together. It's going to be very casual, just one afternoon. At the Berkeley Fellowship Hall, and getting people to agree to do things in person right now is not easy, and I totally understand, but one of the reasons I'm going to Colorado is the only way I'm going to see Erin Mae and Steve Yulberg and Sam Middleston and Bing Futch and all of these people in person for the first time in 3 years, and I can hardly wait. I'll do the best I can to stay safe, and I imagine you will too as you're traveling to and from.
I'm a little nervous about the airport thing. I really am. So, but I'll wear a mask as much as I can in the airport and on the plane. But after a while, I just feel like I'm suffocating, and I get sweaty, and it's like, oh, how much longer can I do this? But somebody told me that there's like these drops that you can put in your nasal cavity that sort of kind of kill the germs as they enter your. So I might get some of that. We'll see.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah, I still wear a mask in the grocery store.
Oh, okay.
There's a big crowd of people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. What about you, Erin Mae?
I besides, going to Europe for the summer, I did decide this year to kind of focus on more regional kind of events. So I'm doing the Colorado Festival, which is in my region, and then I'm doing the Bennington, Oklahoma Festival, which is a little regional Oklahoma festival that kind of hits Oklahoma and northern Texas, and then I will do Winfield. That's my neighborhood festival.
That's what you won. You won the Winfield. That's what you won when I saw you. I won Winfield.
Yeah, I had just won that, I think, and then we went to this big camp for the first time. It was a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Thomasina, I poked around on your website when I was setting up the Facebook event, and I saw that one of the things that you have on your website is creativity workshops for adults. And I'm endlessly fascinated in how we cultivate creativity as we get older, because it seems like creativity just pours out of children, and then we have to be very intentional about maintaining creative practices in our lives. So I'm curious about your own creative practice, and I'm curious about how you encourage that creativity in the students that you work with.
A lot of my creativity workshops I do with a friend of mine who's a writer, and she's also a fellow teaching artist in Connecticut. We hooked up a long time ago. I invited her to do a workshop with me because I felt like writing was part of it. So I don't know if can you back there. I've got tons of little instruments like shakers and gongs.
My tote full of them is on the shelf next to me.
These are very accessible, really easy to play. And what I really like, this is a wonderful one.
We're really getting a tour of your space.
I love this.
This is from
harmonium.
Well, no, it's a Shruti box, kind of like a harmonium. And it's got this one I can change the tune, the sounds. It's got CD. It's got all the whites and the black notes here. But anyway, so we do what we call soundscapes. A lot of times we do it to nature. Let's write a poem about nature, and we'll go out and take a walk in the woods. This is for adults. And what do you see? What do you hear? What do you smell? And we'll write a short little poem, 3-line poem, and then we create little soundscapes to go with it, with bird calls and my Shruti box and singing bowls and shakers and wind tubes. Like this is a fun one too. So this one cost me $1. Wind tube.
Oh, those things, yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, we write little short poems that are really easy to write, and not a haiku, but close to that type of format. And then you write individual poems, it becomes a group poem, and then they do a little group performance for each other. So I make it really step by step, easy and accessible, and it's been a very popular one. And one of the things I learned from Music for People with David Darling, that I studied with him for 4 years, return to child. That's really, be silly, be silly. The mantra is, you got to be silly. You've got to be able to just leap off the edge and take the risk. Because if you don't, and that's really what it is about, writing music and writing poems and being with each other, and that's really what it's all about. What about you, Erin Mae?
I like that you do it in both individual and collaborative way, because my experience often has been that the thing that inspires my creativity is being with a group of people who are exploring their creativity. And also, I have to have some of my own space for figuring out what's my creative expression. So, um, yeah, I really like that. I haven't, so most of my like creativity for adults things that I've done have been specific with the dulcimer. And so I do creative exercises like play all the hammer-ons and pull-offs you can possibly put into a 1 minute thing, and just like trying different kinds of dulcimer techniques but without a piece of paper in front of you telling you what to do. And so finding that creativity inside the dulcimer. But I read The Artist's Way 2018 or 2019. I went through it with a group of people, and we did a lot of the creativity exercises together that were part of that book. And it really made me realize, like, this is a thing that I have to be really intentional about. And it's super fun when I do, you know. It's that fun and silly and finding it, but prioritizing that in our lives full of responsibilities gets challenging, I guess.
I actually took an Artist's Way workshop with Julia Cameron.
Wow.
Here in Litchfield. I didn't even know who she was, but it was a local conference, and I thought, well, this looks interesting. And I had no idea that she was world famous. And it, again, that workshop changed my life. You know, you want to know when, because, you know, I had made the children's recording, and I might have even done A Peaceful Storm, but I didn't realize I was an artist. To me, an artist was somebody who drew. And that it was the whole, you are a creative. And in that workshop, she said, go and write yourself a lullaby. I took my dulcimer, and in 15 minutes, I wrote Holding Back the Night. And I think it's one of my better songs, you know, because it was really in the moment of truth for me. And it's a really sweet little song, you know. And so that really sparked my journey into the creative process of looking outside of just dulcimer, but being a creative person, and then being somebody, well, because I have a master's in education, so I like to teach, is to inspire. I call myself a creativity midwife. I like to elicit creativity from the people around me.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. There's
something. It was so much fun, isn't it?
It is fun, and it takes you out of everything else. I mean, that being in what one person wrote a whole book about it. I can't remember his name, but it's just called Flow. And it's about being in the flow of what you do. And that's what you're talking about with that. You know, you were in the workshop, you were in it. 15 minutes, that song came. You didn't know you could do that in 15 minutes. You just did it, right? And that's because you were in that state. And being in that state and allowing ourselves to get into that state, like Erin was saying, it's intentional. It's intentional. And you can sit there and you can do it every single day. And, you know, something will come out, and not everything that comes out is worth sharing. But I did a whole thing where I took a walk and wrote a song every day for over a month, just to see if I could do that. And some of my best songs came out of that. And other things were like, well, that's a nice little thing. And I did what I said I would do. And that's the other part of confidence, is doing what you say you're going to do.
Right.
Right?
Right.
You know you've done it, so you can do it.
Yeah. And the more that you do it, the more you can do it, you know. And but I've always been asked, can you do this? Because the workshops, can you do this? And I always say yes. And they go, oh my God, what did I just set myself up for? And then I call Rob, or I call one of my friends and say, how do I do this? And then it's another tool in my kit, you know.
That's right. And part of your tool is using your resources. That's what you're talking about. And I do the same thing. We couldn't have done all this stuff we've done with Dulcimoon if it hadn't been that there was a team and a group of allies that came together to make it happen.
The community, right? Community is important. And that's the beauty of the quarantine. It forced us to create a broader community. And I know it's not face to face, but look at how rich it's become for all of us. You know, it's just amazing. And what would we have done without Zoom? I don't really know. Wow.
Yeah, I know. I tell new students who come into my classes or start taking lessons with me, I say, you have arrived at the golden age of dulcimer online education. And there are more resources than you will ever use, but they're there.
Right.
And you can pick and choose and find your teacher, not just who's in your area. Right?
It's true. It's true. Yeah, I never even thought about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really an amazing time. And our community is astonishing. Erin Mae talks about how another folk group that she's been part of locally was not able to do that pivot. They just couldn't imagine doing their folk music. And I shouldn't speak for you, Erin, but it was really different for us that people pivoted immediately. And a lot of it for my friends in the community, it's about service. We provide a service, and in doing so, we make a profession for ourselves, but the service is still first.
Right.
The education is still first.
Yes, the education is always first, and it's fun. I don't know. I love inspiring people to find their own music. It's the best job in the world. And you know, I've got grandchildren. My granddaughter's 5. I mean, she's 5 years old. She's writing songs. She's writing little poems. There's no, like, I can't do this. It's not part of her landscape. It's like, oh, this is fun. Let's do this together, Nani. And I say, all right, let's do this together. And we write a song and draw a picture. And I don't know. It's return to child is really what the creative process is of just getting out of your way, getting rid of the roadblocks.
In one of my spiritual practices, they talk about child self. And the child is the one who actually helps us break through into our creativity. Yep. So you need to do everything you can to entice the child.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, tell us, your website, is it thomasinalevy.com or?
Levy, thomasinalevy.com. It's also dulcimersong.com. I started with Dulcimer Song, and then I had a consultant. He says, you really should use your name. So I've got both of them. It's all the same.
Okay.
Website. And I've won some awards for some of my songwriting. And again, they were collaborative processes, a lot of them. And my most recent full album was with David Darling and a group of musicians, and it's all instrumental. And I play hammer dulcimer on it. So
ooh.
Yeah, I just started playing. I really Rick Thumb kind of at one of the festivals I started playing this, and I thought this is a nice instrument. So I bought a really nice one and taught myself some melodies on it and recorded it, and now it's just sitting in a corner. I think I'm gonna have to try to sell that instrument. It's too beautiful not to be used. It's a really nice one, a James Jones one. And so I play. It's all, some of it's original and some of it's like Ode to Joy is on there, 4-string dulcimer. I also play 4-string mostly as well. Do you also, or no?
No, I don't. That's not, I've been going over to the dark side of the chromatic, but I have not gone to the 4-string yet.
Yeah, I was at the Folk Craft Instruments had the Autumn Dulcimer Days, and Lorraine Lee was there, and Kevin Roth, both were there that weekend, and they both had 4-string dulcimer workshops. So I went to both of them, and I had a dulcimer that could not have 4 strings on it. It was too narrow of a fretboard, so again I had to buy another instrument. And I put the 4th string on and I never went back. I mean, if I'm playing or recording like a fiddle tune or something like that, I'll take the extra string off because there's too much drone. But because I sing mostly, that extra string just gives me that extra note that just sounds beautiful. I play a lot of suspended chords, it seems.
Oh yeah, that makes a difference.
Yeah.
If you can get all 4 tones.
Yeah. Or I just leave that middle string. It's just like if I a lot of times it's D A D D, and if I play the L-shaped chords and just leave that middle string ringing as I'm going up and down the fretboard, it's there, and it just adds another texture that's beautiful to my ears. Oh.
Okay. Well, so you're going to be going off to England soon, and I'm assuming your recordings are on your website?
Yes.
Do you have any books?
Rob Brereton, my teacher Dallas Klein had books, and Rob Brereton and I bought her Christmas book. It's called Christmas Celebration, and she has a Celtic book, Irish songs. Mm-hmm. So I have those 2 books. I don't think I have them on the website. I haven't updated my website in a while.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I really
should.
It'd
be good to have her stuff available.
Yeah, I know, because they're beautiful books. I mean, she really was an amazing arranger.
I've got 1 or 2. Sure. Okay. Thank you so much for taking this time, Thomasina.
Thank you. I hope somebody was listening at some point.
Well, we always have people who check in, and what I suggest you do is afterwards you take a look at the website and see if anybody has a question for you. Okay. Sometimes those questions come up after the fact when they've watched it later in the day or later in the week.
And what is the what is the website?
It's in the Dulcimoon Facebook group. Okay, but great. Also dulcimoon.com has a page dedicated to the talks. Okay. And I'll be posting that the archived one up in a few days, and so people can find it there. You can tell your friends they can find it there. Great. But if they want to comment on it, it's going to need to be on the group.
Okay.
So
on the Facebook group.
On the Facebook group, okay, right? Great. All right.
Well, thank you so much. I can't wait to see you in live person someday. You too, Erin. I'll see you in a few weeks. Don't forget your passport.
I expect lots of pictures from you while you're in England.
We will. Okay. And we'll do tea and scones.
Oh, yes, definitely tea and scones. All right.
Well, thank you.
Have a good day. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.